I, 28-year-old male, always had a good relationship with my family growing up, and even into my 20s. It was after my wife, 27-year-old female, and I had our first child that things declined. My wife suffers from an eating disorder, anorexia, and she also has sensory processing disorder, though that's less of an official diagnosis because it's not fully recognized on its own currently. But doctors and therapists recognize this as something she struggles with. My wife's childhood was difficult, with strict parents who were unkind to their 3 children when it came to food. My wife got the worst of it because she struggled badly with eating certain foods, and after several years of being berated over food, told she was behaving like a spoiled little brat and having food forced on her, she developed an eating disorder. At the age of 17, she started seeking help on her own. At first, it was just through her school counselor, but then when she moved out and went to college, where we met, she started seeing a therapist who specialized in eating disorders and sensory feeding issues. She was also able to recognize, because of therapy, that the reason she struggled to wear certain clothes was related to her SPD and was not her being weird about clothes. My wife has educated herself a lot on food, childhood diet, and how to healthily and joyfully introduce new foods to kids. She did this knowing she wanted kids. I gave my family a heads up the first time they were meeting my wife that her diet was not one they were used to, and I said we could bring food if it were easier, which they said it would be for the first time. In the years they knew her before we had kids, they never complained about her eating differently to the rest of us or eating less. Our daughter is 3 and our son is 1. It wasn't until she was born and we started having family dinners again post-COVID that I noticed they would comment on my wife's eating or how she was feeding our daughter. I told them it wasn't kind to pick at her for eating the way she does. They said it wasn't good to still have so many problems after so long. I explained she is still working with her team and it's a day-by-day thing sometimes. One day they decided to make a meal where there wasn't a thing on the plate my wife could eat. They called her out for being rude and wasting food. I called them out for cooking a meal she couldn't eat when they told us we didn't need to bring anything for her. My sister also made a snarky comment about how colorful our daughter's plate of food was. I spoke to my family and told them they had one more chance after that, and they didn't listen. So I said they had 2 options. Shut up about how my wife and kids eat, be kind, and allow us to bring food for her. Or we don't join them for dinners anymore. They said I was an idiot for giving them those 2 options. I said they need to pick, or I'll do it for them, and I'll go with option B. Am I the idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your family members developed ahish tendencies during the pandemic, it seems. Where did the sudden judgment come from? Ugh. Your sister was really showing her ignorance by commenting on the colors on your daughter's plate. I perceive that to mean she had a variety of probably fruits and vegetables, which is exactly what she should be eating. I am impressed with your wife. It sounds like she has done an amazing job overcoming her disorder's conditions and is so cognizant of how not to perpetuate generational trauma. Also with you for seeing this situation clearly and supporting your wife. Your family needs to understand your wife and your kids are healthy. There is no malice or rudeness involved in how she eats, and they are going to actively cause harm to her and the kids. If they proceed this way, your only choice is to act as you have. 100%. These should be your family's options. The fact that they want to continue to berate and make fun of their loved ones over something like this speaks volumes. Comment 2. NTA. 1. 5 stars for having your wife's back. 2. She had a condition that always requires work and thought to avoid relapse. Your family seems to think it's like a flu, and it's time that she was cured. They seem unable, incapable, and your ultimatum was reasonable. The fact that they called you an AH for this shows they know they are incapable of holding their tongues. That makes them worse than AH, but morally questionable people willing to taunt someone different. Actually, not just willing, but feeling compelled to regardless of the consequence. 3. 5 stars for standing up for your wife. That's 10 stars. Comment 3. NTA. Your family are judgmental and nasty, and good on you for standing up for your wife. Lord knows this sub is full of spouses who either do nothing when ILs berate or judge an OP, or they take their family's side. I think you've handled this perfectly, and what you'll need to do is stand strong against all the barrage of calls and texts you're going to get. Just keep reiterating the rules, boundaries, and tell them it's not up for discussion. Now, for the next story. I, 35-year-old female, was married to my ex-husband for 5 years and have 2 kids with him, a 6-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl. We divorced 2 years ago when I found out he had another child before we met and is a deadbeat dad to that child. The fact that he hid it from me for the 7 years we were together just made it worse. I only found out when he was sued for child support. When we divorced, I used that information and the fact that the kids are too young to get full custody. He has visitation rights, contingent on child support. I don't really need the money. I am in a high-income profession, and my parents are quite wealthy too. An airtight prenup meant he got nothing in the divorce. He works as a teacher, and it doesn't pay much. He owed quite a lot to the other child, current child support plus back pay installments, and this eats up most of his income. He doesn't own a home, and living expenses here are very high. Basically, he hasn't paid child support for over a year now, and as per court order, has no visitation rights. I wouldn't have minded him visiting the kids still, but he asks me for money to hang out with them. I used to give him money to preserve the relationship with the kids at least, but it came to a point where he was stealing from me. He would ask for $100, but would only spend $20 on the kids maximum. He started doing this almost regularly, and when confronted, he accused me of leaving him homeless and penniless in the divorce. Hence, I owed it to him anyway. As much as I want my kids to still have their dad, I was tired of being taken advantage of. I stopped giving him money. He couldn't take the kids out anymore. The kids missed him, but I refused to budge on this. When they asked me, I called him to speak to them. His family and friends started accusing me of driving a wedge between him and the kids, so I told them the truth, that I never stopped him, but stopped funding it. He is calling me an idiot for refusing to help him, ruining his relationship with the kids, and humiliating him in front of family and friends. Am I the idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. There are plenty of things he can do with the kids that don't cost money. The park, the library, watching a movie at his house. Even just calling and FaceTiming with them regularly to preserve the relationship. If he wanted to see his kids, he would. His financial issues are a result of his decision to abandon his responsibilities to his oldest child, not because you divorced him. Don't let him manipulate you into thinking you are the bad guy. Your responsibility as a co-parent is to meet him halfway. He needs to do his part. Comment 2. Not the idiot. He was lying and stealing from you. There are plenty of things he could do that don't cost anything that he could do. Or he simply could have not broken your trust to begin with. Like you said, you didn't stop him from seeing the kids. You just stopped funding it. And it sounds like he is trying to use the "I can't afford to take the kids out anymore" as a way to manipulate more money out of you. Comment 3. I work in family law, and I am in shock that your order would allow you to forego visitation over past due child support. Your kids deserve to see their dad. There are thousands of free activities to explore with just a little effort. Sounds like your ex would rather witch and moan about how the world is against him than fix his own problems. Not the idiot, but barely. Now, for the next story. I, 18-year-old female, recently moved away from my family on my mom's side. I was tired of being controlled by them for my entire life. For context, I've lived with my parents for my whole life, but have never stood up to their rules. They've treated me like a child for my entire life. Before I moved out, at 17, I still had a bedtime, time limits on my phone, and all technology confiscated at the end of every night. Wasn't allowed anything with sugar in it unless I hid it in my room, stuff like that. A few years ago, too, I had my first relationship ever when I was 16. We did long distance for the most part and only saw each other in summer. My parents hated him for no reason. They say it's because he didn't introduce himself to them, but he only didn't because he was scared to say something wrong. For the next 2 years, my parents tried their damned hardest to make me end it with him. I loved him very much, and he made me feel so happy. It crushed me that my parents were so hell-bent on breaking us up. At one point, they took all my technology for a month so we couldn't talk at all. It made me so sad, but we got through it. Most nights I would talk to them. I'd end up calling him crying because my parents were yelling about how stupid I was and how much of a loser my boyfriend was. I tried to visit him twice, but my parents shot down all attempts. When it came to finally be my 18th birthday, I hopped on a plane and went to see my boyfriend, who I hadn't seen in months. Fast forward a few months, and I moved in with him and his family. His mom is very caring and is helping me adult and figure out the things my parents didn't care to teach me about being an adult. I love all his siblings and we spend a lot of time together. I'm really happy here. My family on my dad's side supports me. My grandma told me how she saw how controlling my parents were, but never said anything. My dad yells at her for having a relationship with me. Right now, I won't talk to them unless they admit to the hurt they've caused me. I know they were just trying to parent me, the only way they knew how, but it hurts they won't admit they've done anything wrong. Am I the idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Parents aren't owed love. They, like everyone else, must earn it. If the relationship is actively causing you harm, and you are able to separate from them, no one can or should call you an AH. There will be people that understand less, but with privilege comes blindness. Undoubtedly, you will get the "but they are your parents" from well-meaning friends in the next coming years. Predetermine an answer you are comfortable with. You are in control of who is in your life. Try to keep it to people who lift you up and make you better, not people that drain you of your light. Good luck. Comment 2. Right now, I won't talk to them unless they admit to the hurt they've caused me. I'd go even further. Don't ever talk to them again. They don't give a rat's ass about you. All they care about is their image. You have a very supportive family unit from your boyfriend, and his mom is helping you learn how to do things that you should have learned much earlier in life. Absolutely not the idiot, and don't look back. Best of luck, OP. Comment 3. Not the idiot. I don't think some parents will ever stop treating their kids as a child to a certain extent, but what yours did was not that. That was controlling and abusive behavior. Do what makes you happy, and if talking to your parents makes you miserable, then just don't. Parents aren't automatically owed anything just because they are parents. Now, for the next story. I, 27-year-old female, am dating 28-year-old male whose birthday was on Monday. We were supposed to go out to an extravagant birthday dinner since he had spent a lot of money on my birthday earlier in the year. He earns a lot more than I do, so I could only do so much, but still. We have been together for 2 years. Well, on the day preceding when we were supposed to go out, I noticed my cat had what appeared to be a cyst in her eye. It had appeared overnight and looked very painful and bad. I drove her 2 hours to an emergency vet open on a Sunday instead and got some eye drops, but there's a really big risk she may lose the eye. She hasn't been eating because of the pain, and I was really worried, so I canceled dinner and decided to stay home with the cat, telling my partner we can reschedule it for another night and that he's welcome to come over and look after her with me. Well, he got really upset and said he had taken the next day as a vacation day already, he was planning on getting drunk, and that the waiting list for that particular restaurant was 3 months, and they won't have his favorite seasonal special then. So I was being incredibly selfish and a mega idiot. Am I the idiot? Edit. Broke up with boyfriend. This post made me realize I care about my cat more and would cancel plans like these 100 times over if the same situation came up again. No regrets. She still isn't eating and is very weak. I'm going back to the vets today because, despite not eating, she has developed diarrhea. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. From what you've written, it sounds like you sprung this on your partner at the last minute. Is this the case? Something like this is common courtesy to let your partner know as soon as there is the potential for something like this to get in the way. Based on how you described it, you had over 24 hours knowledge that this could potentially be a problem. I'd wager a lot of your boyfriend's annoyance isn't due to your cat, but from feeling like an afterthought. A better way of handling things would have been the following. 1. Message your boyfriend when on your way at the vet's. 2. Let him know what is happening and that there is a potential your cat may need supervision. 3. Actually speak with him about your pet and A. Your hopes that your cat will be completely fine. B. That it might not be right to leave your cat. C. That you'd feel awful about missing his birthday. 4. Make the above a conversation where he'd feel included. 5. Keep him updated. 6. Plan an alternative evening around yours for that evening, but with whatever small touches that you can manage. Comment 2. This comment section is really surprising to me. I think a lot of people on here have been quick to reduce your cat's condition and your worries to an overreaction. For me, the biggest overreaction is that of your boyfriend, who seems to think his desire for a particular meal on a particular day is a priority over your unwell pet. You couldn't have won here in his eyes. If you'd gone for dinner and been worried or preoccupied, he'd likely have felt that you ruined his night. If you'd gone home and felt that your cat's condition had worsened, you'd have resented your boyfriend for pressuring you to go for dinner. You are not an AH at all. You made the right decision as a responsible pet caretaker. I hope your cat recovers smoothly, not the idiot. Comment 3. Sorry, but you're the idiot. My dogs are my priority, but you had the vet visit and drops already. If it was that serious, the emergency vet would have held your cat. And you could have gotten the cat a cone or padded collar to prevent scratching. You could have at least made dinner happen and had him back to your place for drinks as a compromise. Not ideal, but you gave zero flexibility. Poop. You could have told him to take a friend and still covered it so he doesn't have a wasted birthday, reservation, and vacation day. I get where your heart was at, but this was an over-the-top response to the situation, especially considering you've been dating for 2 years. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.